What is involved in learning your heritage language? My name is Sheilah Nicholas, and I offer some insight from my personal journey and experience in relearning my own language, Hopi, as an adult. Although Hopi was my first language, learning English in school initiated a rapid shift to English as my primary language, and I was no longer a speaker user of Hopi throughout most of my life and into my adult life. But I didn't lose the ability to understand the Hopi my parents and family used. So I would say that understanding Hopi was a huge advantage in my relearning process. I do want to acknowledge that the beginning steps included learning to read and write Hopi. Here is where understanding Hopi helped me in learning to read written Hopi. However, the greater challenge was to write because as of today, I now understand that writing is for the purpose of expressing your thoughts. So at this beginning stage of relearning my language, I couldn't think in Hopi yet, which impacted being able to write Hopi. It became much more important then to me to work at thinking in Hopi. I can say in reflection that much like trying to get into physical shape by exercising, it requires a lifestyle change in terms of time, commitment, practice, and persistence to learn your language. I'm sorry that I didn't document my journey, but I recall that at first I would draft short speeches, which were really time consuming, but forced me to put time into thinking in Hopi. When I finished writing a script, I recorded my reading of that script. In listening to the recordings, I found how much the years of English only impacted my pronunciation and rhythm of speaking Hopi. I also used the time it took me to walk to work to mentally draft short sentences in English and then translate them into Hopi. I learned a lot doing this about the Hopi language because I was able to ask my mentor, a speaker of Hopi, for things like vocabulary I needed but didn't know when I was drafting these sentences, the correct tenses for words, particularly verbs. And I use this mental exercise on a daily basis. I still do this today by mentally translating into Hopi cartoons from the daily newspaper. This exercise requires me to develop the context for the dialogue in the cartoon. When I first started doing this, I would test out my translations by orally piloting the script to my mother. If she laughed at the cartoon, I felt like I had translated it correctly. And then, in order to work on my pronunciation, I would speak out loud to my dog in my heritage language. This way, I could actually hear myself talk. It was also helpful in using the right tones to pose questions, the right tones for telling my dog to do things like eat or sit or roll over, and just talking out loud. The best the best part was that he would listen and often respond to me through his own language by barking at me. The most powerful learning approach, though, for me was song. Listening to CDs of Hopi songs allowed me to learn the song and listen to the words on long drives to my village community. I began to pay attention and understand the messages about the Hopi way of life that were conveyed. I extended this kind of listening approach to the songs of our cultural practices, many of which I used to not understand or had some difficulty listening to. I also found that not every speaker of Hopi was the best person to initiate a conversation with or to practice speaking the Hopi that you knew. But one person who was excellent in helping me toward proficiency was my own father. He just seemed to be a natural teacher, correcting me encouraging me without direct kinds of words of encouragement or correction, but just in responding to me to help me along. In short, learning your heritage language, or as in my case, relearning my heritage language, entails a strong commitment to changing your language lifestyle, speaking and using your language wherever, whenever, and with whomever, all the time.